Yes, so plantar fasciitis, which is also referred to maybe as like heel spurs or plantar heel pain, a lot of those are really explaining that there is excess stress to the tissue that is found at the bottom of the heel. That's actually where your plantar fascia originates. And then when we run, jump, and do dynamic movements, sometimes the elasticity in that tissue, or I'll tell my patients it's kind of like a rubber band. And if you do not have enough elasticity or rubber band effect in your tissue, in this case your plantar fascia, you can actually start to micro tear it. And then those little tiny tears or little injuries that create a inflammatory response, and then it essentially creates this injury cycle. The repetition of the injury cycle, meaning maybe you have a little bit of stress to your heel, you feel a little bit better, you go back to running again, but you weren't fully past the heel pain. You essentially perpetuate this micro injury cycle, and it is common for a patient to then get stuck in this cycle of injury repair, and then that can cause degeneration of the tissue. So that's one of the most common conditions we see in podiatry. The stress fractures that you mentioned is also an impact-related injury, but this time, instead of the stress to the fascia or the connective tissue, it's happening in the bone. So poor or insufficient absorption of impact forces can cause micro-injury, or it's actually flexing the long bones in the foot. And if you do that enough times, think if you took a stick or a twig and you bent it back and forth, eventually you would hit a fatigue point and it would start to splinter, and then that would be reminiscent of the stress fracture. So those are two very common injuries that we see in athletes that relate to the feet and podiatry.